Hey guys, it's Brian. Welcome to the awards contender. I'm very excited to welcome Cody Dericks back today to talk about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest on its 50th anniversary and its remarkable run at the Oscars. This is still, to this day, one of only 3 movies to win picture, director, actor, actress, and screenplay. How are we doing, Cody?
Doing well. I'm excited to talk about the best year at the Oscars in terms of nominees, possibly.
Oh, I would definitely say in picture. This is one of the finest picture lineups ever, right? Before we talk about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest at the Oscars, Cody, let's just talk about our feelings today about this movie. Like, do you remember when you first saw it? What do you think about this film today?
Yeah, this is one of those classic. I first saw it when I was, as a lot of you out there probably can relate to, a young budding cinephile, and I was going through all the best picture winners as you do, and got to this one, and it really affected me. I think it's a pretty impressive feat of adaptation, coming from a flop play based on a novel that was on Broadway like 15 years earlier, basically. And what really impresses me the most about this movie, the more I watch it, is the ensemble performances. There's so many recognizable faces in this cast. You know, Danny DeVito's there, Christopher Lloyd's there, all giving amazing performances, especially, obviously, Jack Nicholson and Louise Fletcher, who win Oscars. And what really sticks with me with this film is it has a very specific verisimilitude where you feel like you're actually watching a movie set in an actual mental hospital. And part of that is because they actually filmed in a hospital, so that helps a lot. But the performances, and not even just the actors who are nominated for Oscars, or the actors who would go on to become famous actors, the people in the background just populating the film feel so lived in and real, and you really feel like you've been dropped into an actual place where people are sent for rehabilitation.
Yeah, there's so much I love about this film. I discovered it in high school, I think. I was going through the Best Picture winners, and this one really spoke to me. I really loved it. Even though it has some disturbing subject matter, especially toward the end in this, Cody, it's a very cozy film. Putting it on again the other night, it's a movie you just kind of sink into. All of the characters, you know, as you said, like so many wonderful actors in this. If there was a Best Casting Oscar for 1975, I think this would have won that too. Because it's just so beautifully cast, like from the leads all the way to those people in the back. And I love everything about it. Just the feel of the movie, the sense of place that they actually went to Oregon. This is not in some soundstage in LA somewhere. They went to like a real mental hospital in Oregon. That aspect of the movie is great. And then those 2 lead performances are just sublime. Like the fire and the unpredictability that Nicholson brings to it, scene to scene. You never know what he's going to do next. So I think Nicholson is just fantastic in this. Louise Fletcher is just absolutely brilliant in this movie. I adore her performance. She's not in a lot of the film. I always forget that. She's gone for stretches and stuff. But boy, does she make an impact. I'm happy she went lead actress and not supporting actress. But yeah, I love the performances, the cinematography. I'm so happy that got an Oscar nomination. The editing. I just think this is a brilliant film. Like, it was like the right film at the right time with the right cast. Milos Forman coming on to direct. He had done some things before, but he wouldn't have been like the obvious choice to make this movie. He handles this really well. You know, no studio wanted to take it on. They were like, no one's going to watch this movie. Becomes a huge hit, you know, wins all of these Oscars, and it's just a great success story. This film opened on November 21st, 1975. I think it premiered at the Chicago Film Festival, Cody. Chicago Film Festival.
Not bad.
People loved this film, and it made sense. Like, it was going to get in at the Oscars. I wonder, Cody, looking back, with some really strong competition, especially in picture, like people who do what we do, like in the weeks leading up to the end of March of 76, like, were people thinking One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was going to sweep in those top categories, I wonder?
You know, it does feel kind of strange because you look at the landscape, and the only film that had done that previously was It Happened One Night 40 years prior. But I don't know if people were too concerned with precedent back then. They were okay with giving Oscars to, you know, Glenda Jackson wins 2 in 3 years in the 70s. And I think if you break apart each category that it ends up winning, those top 5 categories, it kind of becomes unquestionable that it's probably going to win if you're predicting. You know, it's the picture favorites. It's probably going to win screenplay because of just the structure of it and the affection for the film. Those two performances, especially Louise Fletcher in Best Actress, which is a very strange lineup, full of performances that I like, but that are not resonating that are not in films that are resonating with the Academy otherwise. And Jack Nicholson's on his 5th nomination in 6 or 7 years, so of course they're going to give it to him. And then it just becomes like, well, yeah, of course it's going to win all those plus Best Director.
Yeah, I think it was the perfect storm. You had so many factors going for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. You have some great movies here in picture, as we'll talk about. But I feel like there might have been 1 or 2 cons against each one that prevented them from winning big, like in picture and director and stuff. So as we often do, Cody, we're going to run through the categories, starting with Best Picture. At the 48th Academy Awards held at the end of March of 1976, for Best Picture, we had Barry Lyndon, Dog Day Afternoon, Jaws, Nashville. The winner was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. One of the best lineups in this category ever, right, Cody?
I would say, if not the best, like top 5 pretty easily.
So why couldn't one of these other 4 movies win? I mean, some of these are just so beloved still to this day.
I think every one of them has a kind of like chink in its armor that Cuckoo's Nest just didn't have. They were never going to give it to Jaws for a lot of reasons. Yeah, Jaws was you were a Best Picture nominee because you were a huge hit, even though today obviously it's regarded with such affection, and it might be my winner of this lineup.
That's my favorite, Cody, of the 5. If I had to pick one, is Jaws.
Exactly. Definitely the one I've seen the most, obviously. Yeah. Barry Lyndon is much more like respected than loved, even though I love that movie. I love all these movies. Let me just say that. These are all masterpieces. They all were worthy of Best Picture. Nashville was, I guess you could say, like really long, and it had weird, it didn't get into as many categories as you might think it would have. Dog Day Afternoon feels like screenplay. That's it.
Yeah, maybe actor, as we'll talk about. I mean, Al
maybe
Pacino
actor
was so great in that movie too. If Incredible. Nicholson and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest weren't there, but I just think like the consensus choice here, especially 50 years ago, it makes sense that they would go for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest over these other 4.
Right, especially when you start like working backwards, and it's like, well, of course it was going to win actor and actress. Screenplay makes a lot of sense. Picture then kind of just tumbles into that. And then back then they usually gave picture and director together.
But yeah, especially because One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest does as well as it does at the Oscars when they got to picture at the end of the ceremony. I can't imagine there was much suspense in the room. Next is Best Director. It's pretty close to like the same films and stuff, but we do have Federico Fellini, Amicor. We have Stanley Kubrick, Barry Lyndon, Sidney Lumet, Dog Day Afternoon, Robert Altman, Nashville. The winner is Milos Forman, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. What do we think about director that year?
Right, this is where they give it to Fellini instead of Spielberg, as we all saw in that infamous video of him reacting to his own snub. It's crazy.
That's right. Yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, guys, go watch our coverage on Jaws at the Oscars. We talked about that in June for that film's 50th anniversary. We talked about the Spielberg snub, especially now, Cody, 50 years on. You know, Fellini's great, but like Spielberg should be here. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, Fellini's not one of my guys, but the Academy loved him. Or at least loved nominating him.
Yeah, and you know, I use the word snub on this channel a lot, and oftentimes, like, it's not a snub. It's an omission. It's someone missed or whatever. Best Director for 75, that one does feel, Cody, kind of like a snub. Like they were like, okay, how do we get Spielberg out of this? A little bit.
That felt pointed. He was young. Right. It was a blockbuster. It was like arguably the least intellectual of these 5, if you want to say that. But I mean, the movie speaks for itself. And we are watching this with the hindsight of 50 years of Steven Spielberg proving himself to be one of the greatest of all time, obviously. So it's easy for us to go like, what the hell were they thinking? But right. I understand how the Academy worked here. It does not mean I agree with them.
Yeah, so Forman wins, a great victory here. Like, what do you love about his directing of the film, Cody? Like, why does he win director, do you think?
It's really that, for me, it's the sense of feeling like you are watching this doesn't feel like a Hollywood movie. It doesn't feel anything close to a set. There's one scene where the camera is pushing in on Nurse Ratched during one of the group discussions, and you can see cars driving by in the background. And that's something that, especially having watched a lot of movies pre-70s, feels totally revolutionary. It feels like you're actually watching something happen. It feels truthful, which is what we love so much about these new Hollywood films. And I feel like also the performances being incredible across the board didn't hurt.
Yeah, he gets amazing performances out of his cast. He said in the commentary that he was getting pressure to cut the movie down, like get it under 2 hours. And he did it kind of reluctantly. And then they looked at the film and it actually felt like more boring. You didn't get to know the characters enough to really care about certain scenes, certain moments. So he added another like 15 to 20 minutes back in. And he said, okay, this is the right pace of the movie. Even though it's longer and it's kind of slow, you really get to know the characters better in this longer format. And I think he made the right call there. All right, Best Actor is next. Cody, the nominees for 1975 at the Oscars are Walter Matthau, The Sunshine Boys, Al Pacino, Dog Day Afternoon, Maximilian Schell, The Man in the Glass Booth, James Whitmore, Give 'Em Hell Harry. The winner was, of course, finally, after many nominations, Jack Nicholson, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Was there any chance in hell Nicholson wasn't going to win that? I mean, he must have gotten like 97% of the vote, right?
Definitely. I mean, I think you could maybe say that Pacino's
Pacino's
right behind
second,
him because he's on his fourth he's like Nicholson, racking up nominations in a very quick amount of time, and he's really signaling that this is the future of film, these actors, and we know that to be true looking back. But I mean, it's his fifth nomination for Nicholson. It's a Best Picture winner. It's an amazing performance also. It feels like it was written for him, even though it wasn't. But it taps into his playfulness, his devilishness, his sarcasm, his ability to toss off these one-liners. It feels almost improvisational at times, even though it was not.
Yeah, there's so many iconic moments. Just the way he comes into the place and kisses that guard, and you're immediately taken with him as a character. And then he keeps surprising you all the way through. Like when he bashes the glass in to get the cigarettes, he's like, just give him the cigarettes. And that scene where he has the electroshock therapy, and it's really scary and awful, and he walks into the room in the next scene, and there's such a playfulness to his character in the film every step of the way. I really love this performance. So I've been looking at a bunch of 1975 titles throughout the year, Cody. I have seen these other four movies. I think easily, the second best here is Al Pacino, Dog Day Afternoon. Coming right off of The Godfather Part 2, you do not recognize that person being in the same two films. That's the same guy. Pacino was not there, so I don't know if he cared or whatever. But I'm happy that performance is in. The other three performances, Cody, take it or leave it. There's nothing that remarkable about the other three. I really did not like The Sunshine Boys. I watched that about a month ago.
No.
I thought it was really dull. It was
Neil
very
Simon
dull.
Is such a relic. He is so not my tempo.
We should mention Give 'Em Hell Harry, James Whitmore. That is a filmed live performance of him standing, sitting too, alone on a stage, just acting his heart out to an audience, and it gets an Oscar nomination and a Golden Globe nomination. It doesn't seem right to me. It's not a movie. It's just a filmed performance.
Yeah, I have not seen this movie. It's such an oddity. I really don't care.
Were they just really reaching for Best Actor contenders that year, Cody?
I think so.
Fill up the category?
But Roy Scheider in Jaws would have been a great nominee, obviously. Personally, and again, this would never happen because the movie was a flop, but Tim Curry in Rocky Horror would have been incredible. It would never, ever happen. But, I mean, now we know that he would have been a worthy nominee here.
One of my favorite movies to revisit this year was Rocky Horror. I hadn't seen that in a long time, and it's just a blast. Just a great time. But my choice here, I had never seen it before, Cody. It might have been my favorite discovery for 75. Gene Hackman in Night Moves.
I have not seen Night Moves.
Great film. And the final act, the final 20 minutes, Gene Hackman is bringing it. And I'm like, how did he not get in here? So yeah, Jack Nicholson, a great winner for Best Actor at the Oscars that year. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He, of course, has gone on to win two more. He won for Terms of Endearment and Supporting Actor and As Good as It Gets in Lead Actor. But it's like, okay, if he's going to win like one of those 3 prizes, it's gotta be for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, especially with him missing the year before for Chinatown, which is another one of his great performances. Like, this one had to happen. So happy it did. Now on to Best Actress, Cody. We have Isabella Gianni, The Story of Adele H., Anne Margaret, Tommy, Glenda Jackson, Hedda, Carol Kane, Hester Streets. The winner was Louise Fletcher, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So another lineup of some like low nominees and stuff here. What do you think of actress that year?
So yeah, this category, if you look at it on paper, you kind of go, what the hell's going on here? I haven't heard of a lot of these movies or seen them, but I've seen all these nominees. They're all really good. The movies and the performances. Mm-hmm. I kind of love what Anne Margaret is doing in Tommy. It is a psycho performance.
Wild.
You've never seen anything like it, especially before this, knowing what her career was like. Isabella Gianni is amazing in The Story of Adele H., and she goes on to become, one of the greatest actresses of the 20th century, so that's not surprising. Glenda Jackson is really compelling in Hedda, which is also kind of restrictive and stagey as a film, but she's amazing. And Carol Kane in Hester Street is a total delight. She's such a discovery in that movie.
I agree with you, even though, most people aren't going to be familiar with at least 2 or 3 of these films, I would say. If you take the time to watch these performances, they're all great. They all deserve to be here. I was especially taken with Anne Margaret and Tommy. I had never seen that film before, Cody, until about a month ago. I watched it.
It's wild.
And it's not like the greatest movie of all time, but her performance in it, basically all sung, right? I think I read like she's maybe like the only Best Actress Oscar nominee for a movie where it's like just completely sung all the way through.
That would make a lot of sense. It is a rock opera, so there's not dialogue in it.
And I also love the expressions on all of their faces. Have you seen that clip of Best Actress at the Oscars that year? Anne Margaret especially. Anne Margaret in that clip looks like she's being held hostage. And she's just no smile.
Yeah. Live TV before they had an idea that people would be able to go back and rewatch it, where they just did not care.
Right.
Or know to care is amazing.
Yeah, right. And like in the 70s at the Oscars, they probably assume nobody will ever see this again past the night.
Why would they?
Yeah. I mean, I just think Louise Fletcher had this in the bag, Cody, because like these other 4 movies are barely nominated anywhere else. So it's like how does Fletcher lose this?
Yeah, I mean, 3 of them are single nominees. Tommy only has a Best Adapted Score nomination, and then everybody's watching Cuckoo's Nest, so like of course she wins. Plus, it's a very memorable role. She's very good at it. Obviously, it's a villainous turn in Best Actress, which you don't see a lot of, so that's interesting.
Yeah, and Fletcher plays that role just perfectly. You almost get the sense that she thinks what she's doing is right every step of the way. She is helping
very
them.
much.
She's not sitting there, bathing in her evilness. like I think another actress might have come in there and made her like too caricature, too villainous. And the way Fletcher plays it, it's what makes it so scary in a way. It's too bad she didn't get like amazing opportunities after this. You see Jack Nicholson's career over the next 30 plus years, and it's just like one banger after another. And Fletcher, like she's prolific. She's in a lot of stuff in the 80s and 90s, but she never gets a role quite like the one in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. But yeah, this is her strongest work. I love her speech, where she performs sign language for her parents, and the camera kind of backs up and lets her do the sign language. It's a really wonderful speech. Both Fletcher and Nicholson give like all-timer speeches. They're both pretty short, and they have wonderful things to say. I really like both speeches too. So now moving on to Best Supporting Actor. Nobody in the film, Cody, is in Supporting Actress, which I think makes sense.
Right, yeah.
But there's at least 2 like performances in the movie. I would say maybe 3 that could get into Supporting Actor. One of them gets in. I think it's a very good choice. Our nominees for Best Supporting Actor that year are Brad Dourif, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Burgess Meredith, The Day of the Locust, Chris Sarandon, Dog Day Afternoon, Jack Warden, Shampoo. The winner is George Burns, The Sunshine Boys. How do we feel about Best Supporting Actor?
I mean, The George Burns win doesn't do anything for me. That feels like very much a relic of the time period. Appreciating him as a stalwart of the industry, fine. What I will say is that I don't think the nominees besides him are like incredible. So there's nobody here that I would say is robbed. So I'm not too upset about it. The funny thing about both the Dog Day Afternoon and the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest nominations is that, yeah, they're both great, but there's other actors who I'd nominate in their own movies above them. I would really love to have seen Charles Durning get in for Dog Day Afternoon. He's incredible as the negotiating police guy. He kind of disappears in the second half, so I can see why people forgot about him. And Chris Sarandon has a very memorable character who pops up later in the movie, which I feel similarly about Brad Dourif. He doesn't really do a ton here until the last 20 minutes. But, I mean, I would rather have nominated, if I had to pick one person, Will Sampson as Chief.
Will Sampson.
He's just incredible.
So, yeah, watching the movie the other night, I'm like, why did Dourif get in over Sampson? Do you think it's just because of that scene near the end? That's very important, very pivotal, right before he kills himself. And he's great in that moment with Fletcher. I think that's what got him the nomination, is that scene.
That's what I agree. I think he has a standout role in the narrative, which is not to say his performance is unworthy of a nomination. He's very good, but I think that's why he managed to rise above the many other men in Cuckoo's Nest to get a nomination.
Yeah. I mean, I do love that Chucky has an Oscar nomination.
Me too. Yeah.
All right, Best Adapted Screenplay is next. Original Screenplay, Cody, goes to Dog Day Afternoon, the win. That's fantastic. In Adapted Screenplay, we have Barry Lyndon, The Man Who Would Be King, Scent of a Woman, The Sunshine Boys. The winner is, of course, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. What do we think about Adapted Screenplay?
I mean, it's similar to director. It is so defined in the voice of the film and really gets you to feel like you know every single one of these characters so well. Pretty quickly in. It's not like it's something that takes a while to develop. You feel very enveloped in the world of the film thanks to the writing. And again, the writing has a very tossed off casual quality that just helps with the actors have a very specific grasp of the characters they're portraying.
Yeah, the screenplay is so pivotal, like just the dialogue, like the pace of the film. In the documentary, they said the first script that came in, it was very similar to the novel. It was just kind of like beat for beat of what happens in the book, and it wasn't much of a movie. And then these two guys came in, and they really formatted it to be its own thing and not just be, a literal translation of the book. And so I love the time spent with all of these characters. It could have just been, it's like 80% of it is just Nicholson and Fletcher and they're back and forth. Like we really get the sense of everybody in that mental hospital. So that's a worthy winner here. Of course, with it winning picture, director, actor, actress, it had to win screenplay, right? So 3 categories left. The technical categories, Cody. Best cinematography, we have The Day of the Locust, Funny Lady, The Hindenburg, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The winner is Barry Lyndon. Is that the right call there, Cody, for cinematography?
Yeah, it's the most beautiful film ever made. I mean,
right? Gorgeous.
Come on. It looks incredible. It's lit by candles and done well. This is an old, cliche, but every frame literally could be a painting. You could pluck it out of the movie and you see it go around Twitter all the time, just individual stills of the film. And it's a beautiful movie.
Yeah, I mean, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest winning this over Barry Lyndon, we would have some words right now. You're like, what? That would have been overkill. That did not need to win cinematography, even though I do love the look of the film. It's very natural, shooting in this real place. You see outside the windows, that scene when they go out on the boat and stuff. Like, I like the cinematography of it, but it's not like a wow. So yeah, Barry Lyndon, that one makes total sense. Best film editing, the nominees are Dog Day Afternoon, The Man Who Would Be King, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, 3 Days of the Condor. The winner was Jaws, as we talked about in our Jaws video. What a fantastic win there for Verna Fields.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm almost surprised they didn't pair the editing nomination with a cinematography nomination for Jaws, because it was like the area of the Academy that they deigned to deem it worthy, not the acting or the writing or the directing. But yeah, Jaws is kind of hard to argue with here. That movie just moves. It's so well cut. Cuckoo's Nest also moves well, and it's like a propulsively made film that doesn't feel like you're starting and stopping, because if you look at it on paper, like the run of the film, it is kind of just a bunch of scenes until the very last 20 minutes where you can see how it's based on a play in part.
Yeah.
But the editing doesn't make you feel that.
I know it was like a big summer blockbuster, and those don't always do well at the Oscars and stuff. It still kind of boggles my mind that Jaws only got 4 nominations. You'd think it would have been 5 or 6 at least, like cinematography, as you said, maybe 1 acting nomination. Like, you think it would have done a little better.
Right, especially when it goes on to win 75% of its nominations.
Right. And lastly, Best Original Score. The nominees are Birds Do It, Bees Do It, Bite the Bullets, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The Wind, and the Lion. The winner was John Williams for Jaws.
Come on.
Like, maybe the best win of the night.
It's just unquestionable.
Iconic.
I mean, what else could you even give it to here? Right. I look at this Cuckoo's Nest nomination, and I kind of don't really know how it got it. Is there a score besides the opening and the closing?
It does have a nice score. Like, it's not in a lot of the movie.
Yeah.
On the documentary, Michael Douglas says like he listened to the score and was like, I don't know, does this feel right for the movie? And they went with it, and it does. It works nice. Like it opens and ends the film, and it's maybe in the movie sporadically here and there. I like the score of it. Does it need to get an Oscar nomination? Not necessarily. So that's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest at the Oscars. This has been so much fun, Cody, to talk about this movie and its awards run. So on its 50th anniversary, like how do you think this film has influenced other movies? Like, where is this movie's place in cinema history, do you think?
I think the naturalism of it is so important to cementing that style in this era. It's not the first movie in the 70s to kind of eschew the trappings of studio filmmaking and the fictionality of it, but it's one of the more notable ones, and it is one of the defining performances of one of our best actors with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, I love this movie. I could put it on once a year if I wanted to. It's got so many interesting elements to it. The cinematography, the performances, the sense of place, and it just flies by for me. I find it kind of a cozy watch. I really enjoy sinking into this film, the characters, that back and forth between Jack Nicholson and Louise Fletcher all the way to the end. It's really great. I adore this film. Happy 50th birthday, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.